I discovered my fiancée's infidelity in the most humiliating way imaginable, in a way you could never guess. Just listen. It all began subtly, a persistent itch, a low-grade burn that felt more nagging than truly irritating. I ignored it for a week, maybe two, chalking it up to simple irritation, too much coffee, perhaps, or not enough water. Nothing out of the ordinary, but it lingered. Finally, reluctantly, I made an appointment. Dr. Evans's office was predictably sterile, with the faint scent of antiseptic and a rack of dated magazines. "So, Charlie, what's troubling you?" Dr. Evans asked, peering over his glasses with a practiced, professional air. I described the symptoms, downplaying them slightly, not wanting to come across as some panicked hypochondriac. He listened patiently, nodding along. "All right, let's run a few tests. Better safe than sorry." "Sure, Doc. Whatever you think," I mumbled, already wishing I were anywhere else. The tests were quick and impersonal. A swab here, a blood draw there. Then the waiting began. The call came on a Tuesday afternoon, just as I was finalizing a brief. Dr. Evans' nurse was polite but firm. "Mr. Richards, Dr. Evans would like you to come in to discuss your results. Could you make it in tomorrow morning?" "Can't he just tell me over the phone?" I asked, a sliver of irritation cutting through my voice. My stomach clenched. This wasn't good. "The doctor prefers to discuss these matters in person," she replied, her tone unchanging. The next morning, back on that crinkling paper, the air in the exam room felt heavier. Dr. Evans didn't waste any time. He sat across from me, file open, his expression carefully neutral. "Charlie," he began, his voice low, "your tests came back positive for chlamydia." The room seemed to tilt. Chlamydia. The word hung in the sterile air, clinical and cold. My mind raced, desperately searching for an explanation. Any explanation other than the obvious one. But there wasn't one. There was only Luna, my fiancée. We had been exclusive for 2 solid years, monogamous, or so I had believed. There was no other possibility, no forgotten drunken night, no misstep. It could only have come from her. "Okay," I managed to say, my own voice sounding distant. "Okay, what's the treatment?" He explained the course of antibiotics, the need for Luna to be tested and treated as well, the importance of abstaining until we were both clear. I nodded numbly, absorbing the practical details while the betrayal began to curdle in my gut, forming a cold, hard knot in my chest. That evening, the apartment felt different. The comfortable space we had built together suddenly felt contaminated, charged with unspoken accusations. Luna was humming in the kitchen, preparing dinner. She looked beautiful, of course, her dark hair tied up, a smudge of flour on her cheek, the very picture of domestic bliss. I waited until we were sitting down to eat, the silence stretching between us, punctuated only by the clink of forks on plates. I couldn't hold it in any longer. The anger, the sense of violation, it was a physical pressure. "I went to the doctor today," I said, keeping my voice level, watching her face. "Oh, is everything okay?" she asked, looking up, her eyes filled with concern. What a convincing actress. "Not really. Turns out I've picked something up. It's chlamydia," I stated flatly. Her fork clattered onto her plate. Her eyes widened, first in shock, then quickly clouding with something else. Outrage. Disbelief. "What, Charlie? What are you talking about?" "I'm saying I have chlamydia, Luna. And since I haven't been with anyone else, I'm asking you how I got it. The accusation hung heavily in the air. Her face flushed crimson. She pushed her chair back, standing abruptly. How dare you? Her voice trembled, but with rage, not guilt. How dare you accuse me? You think I gave this to you? After everything? There's no other explanation, I said, my own voice rising, despite my efforts to stay calm. No other explanation? She practically shrieked, her hands clenched into fists. Are you serious? You could have picked it up at the gym sauna. People get things like that. Or maybe, her voice dropped, laced with venom. Maybe you're the one who's been sneaking around, and now you're trying to pin your filth on me. Her performance was incredible. The righteous fury, the wounded tears welling in her eyes. It was flawless. For a sickening moment, I actually hesitated. That seed of doubt she'd planted. The sauna. Was that even possible? I vaguely remembered reading something somewhere. God, was I being paranoid? Luna, cheating? It seemed impossible. This was the woman who had stood by me while I slogged through the law school, working part-time, barely scraping by. Luna, who always seemed to have boundless energy, working as a sales clerk back then, later juggling two jobs, waitressing shifts, bar gigs, always hustling. She dropped out of college herself, she said, to support her parents. I respected that dedication, that grit. We'd reconnected years after a brief stint working together at a supermarket, bumping into each other by chance. She was a department manager by then. We bonded over coffee, reminiscing. I was single, fresh out of a dead-end relationship. So was she, she'd said. We started dating, slowly at first, then fell into the comfortable rhythm of a serious relationship. She always seemed so solid, so grounded, despite her expensive tastes. Early on, when I was still building my career, making peanuts as an associate, she'd sometimes show up with a new designer scarf or a pricey pair of shoes. A little treat for myself, she'd say with a shrug. Work hard, play hard, right? I felt inadequate then, unable to buy her those things myself, but she never held it over me. If anything, she pushed me. You're going to make it, Charlie, she'd say. You're brilliant. Don't settle. Go for that partnership. She had this unwavering faith in me, this fierce ambition for me, and it worked. Her belief, her constant encouragement, it fueled me. I put in the punishing hours. I networked. I played the game. Last year, it finally paid off. Junior partner. The salary bump was significant. Finally, I could be the provider. I could buy her the nice things she deserved, the things she used to buy for herself. One of the first things I did was suggest she cut back on her hours. You don't need to work two jobs anymore, Luna, I'd told her, picturing cozy evenings together, weekends free from her exhausting schedule. Keep the dealership job if you love it, but drop the night gigs. She had seemed genuinely relieved, even touched. Really, Charlie? You mean it? She dropped the waitressing jobs almost immediately, keeping only her position as a sales manager at the high-end car dealership downtown. I felt like we were finally stepping into that comfortable, secure future I'd worked so hard for. Then came the incident with the purse. The turning point, really. It was a few months ago, just before her birthday. Things were good, mostly. We were settling into this new phase of our lives. I was finally making a decent living. Luna was down to one job, and I thought we were in a great place. I remember we were sitting on the couch one evening, Netflix humming in the background, both of us a little tired but comfortable. I asked her, almost casually, "So, what do you want for your birthday this year?" She turned to me with this hopeful little smile, tucking her hair behind her ear. "Well, there's this one Chanel bag I've been dreaming about. I saw it in a window display last week. It's about $3,000. $3,000 for a handbag." I honestly thought she was joking. I let out a short laugh. "Wait, what? Are you serious?" Instantly, her smile vanished. Her eyes narrowed, and for a split second, there was something almost wounded in her expression. "What's so funny?" she snapped. "You don't think I deserve something nice?" I tried to backtrack, realizing too late how that had sounded. "No, Luna, it's not that. Of course I want to get you something special, but $3,000 for a bag? Don't you think that's a little crazy?" "It's just a lot," I said. She stared at me, her jaw tight. "A lot? For you, maybe. For me, it's a dream. Something I never thought I could ask for. But I thought you'd want to get me something meaningful now that you can. After all the years I killed myself working, supporting you when you were broke. I know you did, and I appreciate it," I said, my own voice getting tense. "But Luna, 3,000 for a bag is just frivolous." She cut me off, her tone sharp as a knife. "So you're just like everyone else. You want to spoil me, but only on your terms." I got defensive, feeling the whole situation slipping away from me. "That's not it. I want to spoil you. I really do. But that's more than half a month's rent for something you can't even drive or live in. It's not practical, Luna." She stood up abruptly, snatching her keys from the table, her whole body rigid with anger. "I don't want practical, Charlie. I wanted something special. Something that showed me you see how hard I worked, how much I gave up for you. But you don't get it. You never get it." And before I could say another word, she stormed out, slamming the door so hard the wall shook. I just stood there, stunned, watching the door vibrate in its frame, wondering how a simple question about a birthday present had turned into this gaping chasm between us. We didn't speak for 2 days. The silence in the apartment was heavy, suffocating. I wrestled with it. $3,000 was a lot for a purse. It felt wasteful, irresponsible even. But then I thought of her face when I laughed. I thought of her unwavering support when I was a nobody. The guilt gnawed at me. Finally, I caved. I called her, apologized, and told her I'd buy her the damned bag. She came back, relieved, apologizing for storming out. We made up, but a tiny fracture remained, a hairline crack in the foundation. And now this, the chlamydia, her furious denial echoing through the tense apartment. Was the sauna thing really plausible? Could stress manifest like this? No. My gut was screaming betrayal, but her performance, it was so convincing, so painfully, masterfully convincing. I I need some air, I stammered, backing away from the table, desperate to escape the suffocating atmosphere and her tear-streaked, accusing glare. I grabbed my keys and left, leaving her standing amidst the wreckage of our dinner. Outside, the cool, night air offered little relief. I walked aimlessly, replaying the scene, her words, her rage. Could she really fake that kind of indignation? She had a terrifying knack for it. I pulled out my phone and called Dave, my oldest friend, a man who knows me inside and out. He's cynical, pragmatic, and sometimes brutally honest, exactly what I needed. Charlie, what's up, man? You sound weird, he answered, the background noise suggesting he was at a bar. Dave, I need to ask you something, kind of personal, I started, lowering my voice as I turned down a quiet side street. I'm at O'Malley's. Sounds like you could use a drink. Get over here. 15 minutes later, I slid onto a bar stool next to him. He took one look at me and shook his head. Jesus, Charlie, you look like hell. What is it? Is it is it possible to get something like chlamydia from like a gym sauna or something? I asked, non-sexually. The question sounded absurd even as I said it. Dave let out a loud, incredulous laugh. A sauna? Are you kidding me, Charlie? Is that the line Luna fed you? God, man, wake up. His bluntness cut straight through the fog of doubt Luna had so expertly created. She, of course, denied it. She flew into a rage and turned the accusation back on me. A classic diversion. Dave's tone sharpened on the other end of the line. Look, I get that you think Luna is infallible, but statistically, no. You either got it from her or she got it from you. And since you're pretty damn sure it wasn't you, well, do the math. Don't be an idiot, man. The icy knot in my chest tightened. He was right. Her libido was pathetic. Her anger was a performance. What do I do, Dave? I asked, feeling utterly lost. First, you protect yourself. Do you have proof? No? Then get some. You can't just accuse her without concrete evidence. Not if you plan on kicking her out or breaking the engagement. Second, and this is crucial, that ring you gave her, your grandmother's ring. Get it back. Get it back now, before she smells trouble and makes off with a family heirloom. Trust me on this. Get proof. Get the ring, in that order. The words echoed in my head. Get proof. Get the ring. But how? Hiring a private investigator felt extreme and expensive. Then I thought of her job at the high-end car dealership, a wealthy clientele. Luna was attractive, charismatic. It was part of why she was so good at sales. She often worked late, schmoozing clients, as she called it. Suddenly, those late nights took on a new, sinister meaning. A plan began to form, cold and methodical. It felt repulsive, intrusive, but necessary. Dave was right. I needed proof. And I needed that ring back, my grandmother's ring, on the finger of a woman who had so completely betrayed me. The thought made me sick to my stomach. The days that followed were a silent, tense purgatory. We existed like ghosts in the apartment, polite and distant. I started the antibiotics, pretending the doctor had diagnosed some persistent, non-contagious bacterial infection. Luna seemed to accept it, though the tension remained palpable. She was likely relieved I'd dropped the accusation, thinking I'd either fallen for her act or decided to ignore it. Let her think that. I started watching more closely. Her phone was perpetually in her hands, angled away from me. Quick, whispered calls she'd taken the other room. The late nights at the dealership became more frequent. Trying to close a big deal, she'd say vaguely. The excuses now seemed flimsy, transparent. Friday night, a text came through around 7. Going to be late. Got a serious buyer for the new S-Class. Might take a while. Don't wait up. Love you. The love you felt like acid. This was my chance. I drove downtown, parking a block away from the dealership, across the street, partially hidden by a delivery truck. The showroom lights were brilliant, illuminating the polished chrome and sleek lines of the luxury vehicles inside. I could see Luna through the large plate glass windows, laughing with a customer. He was older, maybe in his 50s, dressed in an expensive suit, his silver hair slicked back. He looked wealthy. I watched them. They circled a gleaming black sedan. Luna, animated, gesturing, flashing that dazzling smile she once reserved for me. He seemed captivated. Eventually, the other employees began to leave. The main lights dimmed, leaving only the security lighting, but Luna and the silver-haired man remained. My heart hammered against my ribs. I felt like a voyeur, a sordid accomplice to a scene I couldn't look away from. They moved toward the back of the showroom, near the service bay entrance where the light was dimmer. They stopped beside a dark blue convertible, its top down. He said something, leaning in close. Luna laughed again, tilting her head back. Then, my breath caught. She reached out, touched his arm, and cast a glance around the empty showroom. He opened the passenger door. She slid in. He walked around and got into the driver's seat. They sat there for a moment, talking, shadows obscuring their faces. Then, unbelievably, he leaned over. She climbed awkwardly over the center console and into the back seat. He followed her. The car's interior light went out. My hands clenched the steering wheel, my knuckles white. I couldn't make out details, only shapes moving in the darkness, the subtle rock of the car on its suspension. There was no doubt what was happening in the back seat of a customer's car, or maybe a demo vehicle, inside her place of work. The audacity was stunning. The betrayal was absolute. My hands were shaking, but not from shock anymore. It was a cold, calculating rage. I fumbled for my phone, my heart pounding, trying to hold it steady. I aimed the camera, zooming in as much as the distance and the darkness would allow. The footage would be grainy, indistinct, but the context was undeniable. The location, the time, the moving silhouettes in the back of that convertible. It was ugly, damning proof. I recorded for several minutes, capturing more than enough to leave no room for doubt. Finally, the movement stopped. A minute later, the interior light flicked on. Luna emerged from the back, hastily adjusting her blouse and smoothing her skirt. He followed, straightening his tie. They didn't look at each other. He got out and walked briskly toward the main exit. Luna lingered, checking her reflection in the car window, running a hand through her hair, before heading to the staff exit at the back. I sat there for a long time after they were gone, the phone heavy in my hand, the video file saved. The rage had subsided, replaced by a glacial emptiness. There was no grief, no heartbreak, just a cold, hard resolve. She had made her choice. Now, I would make mine. The next morning, Saturday, I waited. I let her wake up, shower, and sip her coffee in the kitchen, acting as if last night was just another late shift. Then I walked in, phone in hand. "Morning," I said, my voice devoid of all emotion. "Hey," she replied, a little too brightly. "Sorry I was so late. That guy was a tough sell, but I think I closed it." "I'm sure you did," I said softly. I held the phone up, turning the screen to face her, and pressed play. The grainy video filled the screen, the dim showroom, the blue convertible, the indistinct figures in the back seat. Her coffee mug slipped from her grasp, shattering on the tile floor, splashing hot liquid across her bare feet. Her face went completely pale, her eyes locked on the screen, her mouth hanging slightly open. She stared at me, pure, absolute panic in her eyes. Charlie, how? Does it matter? I cut her off, my voice like ice. What matters is this. What matters is the chlamydia you so convincingly denied giving me. What matters is the lie our entire relationship has been. She started to stammer, tears now flooding her eyes. Real tears, finally. Charlie, please, I can explain. It just that it happened. I was stressed. Save it, I snapped. I don't want an explanation. I want one thing. My grandmother's ring. Now. I held out my hand. Her eyes darted from my face to my outstretched palm and back again. A flicker of defiance sparked in the midst of her panic. She instinctively covered the ring on her left hand. No, you gave it to me. We're engaged. The engagement, I said, spitting the word, is over. The relationship is over. We are over. Give me the ring, Luna. Something in her expression hardened. The panic receded, replaced by a sneering bitterness. The mask fell away completely. You want the truth? She hissed, her voice dripping with contempt. Yes, you got it from me. And you know what? She gestured vaguely, presumably at the man in the video or some other conquest, wasn't the first. Not by a long shot. My stomach twisted, but I kept my face a blank mask. She saw my reaction, or lack thereof, and seemed spurred on, needing to hurt me more. I have plenty of lovers, Charlie. Men who aren't cheapskates like you. Men who appreciate a woman who knows what she wants and isn't afraid to take it. Men who buy me the gifts I deserve without me having to beg or feel guilty. She let out a harsh, ugly laugh. Those expensive things I used to buy for myself? The scarves, the shoes? Did you really think I was affording those on a waitress's salary? God, you are naive. And then it hit me. The pieces clicked into place with sickening clarity. The designer items from early in our relationship weren't bought with her hard-earned money. They were gifts, payment for services rendered. This whole time I was feeling inadequate. She was being financed by other men. While she was pushing me to succeed, she was hedging her bets, enjoying the perks of infidelity. Her hustle wasn't working two jobs. It was a different kind of hustle altogether. Finally figured it out, genius, she sneered, seeing the realization dawn on my face. She spun on her heel and strode toward the bedroom. I heard drawers being slammed, closet doors banging. I didn't move. I just stood there, listening to the sounds of her packing away our 2 years together. When she was gone, the ring was sitting on the counter, shining faintly. I picked it up. It felt cold. She emerged 20 minutes later, dragging a suitcase, her face hard and tight, her eyes red but defiant. She didn't look at me as she walked to the door, pulled it open, and left, slamming it shut behind her. Silence fell. Absolute, deafening silence. I sank onto a kitchen stool, the weight of it all crashing down on me. But still, there were no tears, just a vast, cold emptiness and a righteous, burning anger. She thought she could play me, use me, betray me, and just walk away. Not a chance. That afternoon, I drove to the dealership and parked across the street. Through the glass, I watched Luna go about her business, pretending everything was fine. Then I saw the owner, Mr. Henley, step out of his office and call to her. His voice was low but firm. Luna, could you step into my office, please? Luna plastered on her professional smile, the one I'd seen 100 times. Of course, Mr. Henley. Is there a problem? Let's discuss it inside, he said, his face unreadable. I watched them disappear into his glass-walled office. The conversation played out in silhouette, punctuated by tense gestures. After a few minutes, the voices grew louder. You can't be serious. Luna's voice pierced the showroom quiet, high-pitched, and desperate. I'm afraid I am, the owner replied, his tone flat, professional. We've received credible evidence of gross misconduct. You're terminated, effective immediately. But Mr. Henley, please, I can explain. Her words were frantic now, climbing in pitch. There's nothing to explain, Luna. This is non-negotiable. Security will escort you while you gather your things. I saw Luna storm out of the office, her face blotchy red, her eyes brimming with furious tears. She rushed to her desk, shoving things into a cardboard box. Two of her co-workers exchanged uneasy glances, unsure whether to offer comfort or distance. One of them murmured, Luna, what happened? She shot them a venomous look. Mind your own business. Then she saw me, standing by my car outside. For a moment, her eyes locked on mine, blazing with hatred. I didn't flinch. I just watched her, my expression blank, as she spun on her heel and stormed out into the parking lot, the box tucked under her arm. As she walked past me, she hissed, You did this. Are you happy now? I met her gaze, my own calm and cold. I'm not happy, Luna, but I'm done letting you walk all over me. She scoffed, turned away, and vanished into her car, slamming the door so hard the sound echoed across the entire parking lot. My next call was to a private investigator. Dave had recommended a discreet and expensive professional by the name of Marcus Thorne. I met him in his austere, anonymous office downtown. I laid out the facts, my ex-fiancée, Luna, and my suspicion of long-term infidelity. I wanted confirmation, details, names, dates, locations, especially from the last year or two. Thorne listened impassively, taking notes before stating his fee. I paid the retainer without flinching. Money wasn't the object. This was now a matter of principle, of consequences. While Thorne worked his magic, I focused on the legal angle. I consulted Sarah Jenkins, a brilliant lawyer at my firm. She specialized in civil suits, though usually corporate ones. I explained the situation, the diagnosis, the confirmed infidelity that led to the transmission, the emotional distress. Negligent transmission of a disease, Sarah murmured, tapping her pen. It's viable, Charlie. Damages could include medical costs, pain and suffering, and potentially punitive damages, given the deliberate concealment. Do it, I said. File the suit. Find her, or have the PI find her, and serve her. Thorne delivered his report 2 weeks later. I sat across from him in his cramped office, the blinds half drawn, stacks of files everywhere. He slid a thick manila folder across the desk. I've completed the report, he said. It's substantial. I opened the folder, my eyes snagging on photographs, printouts, names I didn't recognize. How bad is it? She wasn't just opportunistic, Charlie. She made it a lifestyle. A shaky breath escaped me. How many? He hesitated, then answered. At least 5 different men in the last 12 months. And that's not counting the silver-haired guy from your video. I flipped through the pages, my heart hammering against my ribs. These guys, did she meet all of them at the dealership? Not all of them, Thorne replied. Some were test drive clients. She'd schedule appointments late in the evening. The drives went far beyond the usual route, sometimes for hours. Other times she'd lock up late, but it wasn't paperwork keeping her. Disgusting. I shook my head. And the others? Bars and hotels. She told you she was picking up waitressing shifts or had to stay late. She was meeting men, wealthy types. I pulled security footage, even took a few pictures myself. It's all in there. Name, date, photo. She covered her tracks well, Thorne said, his voice grave. But she got reckless. You said you wanted the truth. Well, there it is. I closed the folder, feeling its weight in my hands. Yes, I'd wanted the truth. I just never imagined there would be so much of it. The report included current addresses or workplaces for most of them. Coldly, methodically, I drafted another email. Subject: Important health notification regarding Luna Simpson. Using a secure, untraceable service, I sent it anonymously to every man on Thorne's list. I've learned that you have recently been intimate with Luna Simpson. I strongly advise you to seek immediate medical testing for transmissible infections, as she has knowingly passed at least one serious infection to a partner. Protect your health. I felt a spark of dark satisfaction, imagining their reactions, the disruption, the potential fallout in their own lives. They were complicit, after all. The lawsuit was served to Luna at a temporary address. Thorne had found her crashing on a friend's couch across town. News travels fast in certain circles. I heard the whispers through mutual acquaintances. Luna had become a pariah. We were sitting in a bar when Dave slid another beer across the table. Man, the word is out, he said. You know this town. People talk. I took a sip. I've been hearing things through the grapevine. She's basically toxic now, fired from the dealership. No one will touch her with a 10-foot pole. Dave shook his head, a little amused. Didn't she used to brag about how much everyone respected her there? I let out a dry laugh. Yeah, well, a reputation doesn't hold up when you get caught doing what she did. Even her so-called friends are keeping their distance. And Thorne? He didn't just find the guys. He made sure some of them were notified. That certainly helped burn a few bridges. Dave grinned, raising his glass. Poetic justice. I clinked my bottle against his. Karma. Finally, a week after she was served, my lawyer got a call from Luna's public defender. He wanted to settle. Her lawyer had probably advised her that fighting would only lead to more public humiliation and a potentially larger judgment. We sat in a small conference room at her lawyer's office. Fluorescent lights, cheap coffee, the hum of a photocopier down the hall. Luna sat across from me, her face pale, her lips a thin line. She wouldn't meet my eyes. Her lawyer, a nervous young man in an ill-fitting suit, cleared his throat and spread out the papers. Mr. Richards, thank you for coming. My client wishes to resolve this matter amicably. This is our offer. He slid a document across the table. Ms. Simpson is willing to officially return the engagement ring. It's already in my possession, I interrupted, my voice flat. He nodded, flustered. Yes, of course, but this makes it legally indisputable. Furthermore, she has agreed to cover your fully documented medical expenses. He tapped the paper, also avoiding Luna's gaze. In exchange, he continued, You agree to waive any further claims for damages. No further litigation. This ends the matter for both parties. I picked up the paper and scanned it. A heavy silence hung between us. I accept, I said, finally signing my name with a sharp, decisive stroke. The lawyer let out a breath. Thank you, Mr. Richards. We'll get this all filed with the court. It will be over soon. I slid the pen over to Luna. She took it, her hands trembling slightly. She signed her name, her eyes fixed on the tabletop. The lawyer began gathering the documents, his mind already on the next case. I hesitated, then turned to leave. That's when Luna finally spoke, her voice hoarse, almost a whisper. Chuck. I stopped, but didn't turn around. I'm sorry, she said quietly. The words were thin and hollow, but they sounded sincere. For everything. I didn't answer. I just gave a single, sharp nod and walked out, leaving Luna in the past behind me. The last piece of news came a month later, again through the grapevine. Luna had left town, erased from my city, erased from my life. But a few weeks after Luna vanished, I found an unstamped envelope slipped under my door. No name, no return address. My stomach tightened. I picked it up, turned it over in my hands, and tore it open. Inside, there was only a USB drive, nothing else. I hesitated for a moment, then plugged it into my laptop. A single file sat there, no label, no clue. I clicked. Luna appeared on the screen. Her gaze was steady, aimed right at me. She wasn't alone. A tall man stood behind her, his face hidden by a featureless black mask. His hand rested on her shoulder. Luna looked directly into the camera, directly at me. Every action has consequences, Chuck. Just like that, the screen went black. I sat there, staring at my own reflection in the dark monitor, my heart pounding. The silence that now filled my apartment had a peculiar quality to it. It was heavy, electric, charged with an energy I couldn't define. This was far from over, not by a long shot,